I'd like to thank all the season ticket holders for a fun evening. Monday evening at Campanelli Stadium, all of the Rox season ticket holders came out and took batting practice out at Campanelli Stadium from Ed Noddle and Rich Severa. That was a lot of fun. I think everybody had a really good time to run around out in the field and shag a few balls. It was a great idea, great turnout. So once again, thanks to everyone who showed up and made that such an enjoyable evening. There's a huge crowd here tonight. They are still filling this place, and it is going to be near capacity here tonight, which says so much for these Brockton fans welcoming back their Rox, despite the fact that they dropped 3 games on the road. Hey, they could use some support, and it looks like they're going to get it here tonight in front of a packed house. The Rox have fallen a bit off of the pace, but the Rox fans are very much in the hunt when it comes to the attendance race, nipping at the heels of Quebec for the attendance lead. It appears like most of the city of Brockton is here at Campanelli Stadium tonight. It is a huge crowd on hand. Mel Rosario at the plate, flied out his first time up, and the first pitch to Mel hit high in the air, deep to left field. Way back, Parrish looks up, and the yard is not big enough to hold that one. Home run, Mel Rosario. His 8th home run of the season, second highest total on the Rox. It is now 4-2. The 1-2 pitch. Torres hits a fly ball to left field. Parrish going back at the warning track, looks up, and it's off the wall. 2-run score. Being waved home is Rosario and Galver. Both will score. The Rox have taken the lead on the double off the wall by Mike Torres, which clears the bases. We're about to find out what the attendance is here tonight. This should be interesting. New record? All right. 4,905. That's a new record here at Campanelli Stadium. That is fantastic.
That homestand was so much fun. Huge crowds every night, like a party atmosphere, and the Rox won 4 out of 6 games. It was like witnessing a love affair. Despite their losing record, the Rox were treated like champions by the city of Brockton. There was still yet another road trip to make all the way up to Quebec, and this time the weather was more like one would expect to find in Canada. Unlike the record high temperatures that we had experienced our previous trip, the Rox stayed hot though and won 2 out of 3 there, and slugger Jermaine Swinton provided a memorable moment.
And finally, a visit to the mound now. It's Michel Laplante, the instructeur dans le sur, which to you and me means the pitching coach. The bases loaded and 2 outs. Rox leading 2-1. Would like to add some more. Swinton has not had a base hit in this ball game or in the series. 1-0 pitch. Misses outside, and Lee has fallen behind Swinton 2-0. That is a very dangerous place to be. Swinton has struck out twice in his ground out. These guys do. 2-0 pitch is crushed. Forget about it. It is out of here, and I mean way out of here. A grand slam home run by Jermaine Swinton. Wow. That ball may be coming down in Brockton sometime tonight, so keep a heads up. Swinton crushed that one. I think he was due. 100 feet or so beyond the left field wall, there's a tennis court. Well, it not only reached the tennis court, but I think that Swinton's bomb, which by the way was a grand slam home run to top it off, I think it actually cleared the tennis court. There's some trees, then a tennis court. Definitely went over the trees. And I was waiting to see the ball actually bounce, which you would expect it to do on a tennis court. I never saw the bounce, so I have a feeling that went over over the tennis court beyond left field. I mean, it was a huge blast. Ed Noddle told me he has not seen no one ever hit that far. And Jermaine just absolutely crushed it. I talked to him briefly before the game, said, have you ever hit a ball that far before, Jermaine? And he says, maybe one. I think I had one off Fontella Jones, who's pitching in this league this season. He said it might have gone further.
So we climbed aboard the bus for the long ride home from Quebec. Only one homestand remaining. Now at this point, if there's any Brockton Rox players who happen to be watching, they're probably wondering, is Larry going to talk about the trip home from Quebec? Guys, I spent the entire season pointing out your mistakes on the radio, so yeah, it's only fair that I fess up to mine, right? Okay, here we go. After we crossed the border into Vermont, we stopped for food, and quite a bit of beer and liquor made its way back onto the bus. I'd had a few beers, and after a while, I had to get up out of my seat, head back to the back of the bus to the restroom, where Saul Bustos was seated holding a bottle of tequila. Now, Saul invited me to sit down with him and have a few shots, which I did. And that's pretty much the last thing I remember. I'm serious. From here on, I'm going on what the players told me happened, and I have no reason to doubt them. They said that at one point I challenged everybody on the bus to a push-up contest. Probably true. When we got back to Brockton, I was trashed, completely blitzloed. Mel Rosario physically took my keys from me and would not allow me to drive. Thank you, Mel. If you hadn't have done that, I might not be here telling this story today. Thanks again. I woke up on the floor of a room that I had never seen before. I looked up and I saw an empty single bed beside me. I must have rolled out and fallen on the floor. I reeked of booze. I was sick. I staggered around and finally figured out that I must be in the rectory, which was where quite a few of the Rox players were housed in Brockton. I staggered around and found a bathroom, and I threw up. Thought I'd share that with you. And finally saw Joey Baker and Chris Cosby coming down the stairs with sheepish grins on their faces. They filled me in on what had happened and told me that Rich Sever had taken my laptop and other belongings off of the bus for safekeeping. Thank you, Rich. Fortunately, it was an off day, so I made it back to my apartment and slept all the way up until it was time to attend a team banquet at George's Cafe. Now, Tom Larson, who was a very nice reporter at Nesson, had sent me a tape of a story that he had done on the Rox for the Boston Red Sox pregame show. I brought the tape to dinner and played it for the players and staff. There were several sound bites in the story with me, and during one of those, manager Ed Noddle yelled out, "Was that before or after the tequila?" That got a big laugh. The Brockton Rox 2002 season ended at Campanelli Stadium just as it had begun, in the rain. Nearly 2,800 fans braved the elements for the season finale, and Mike Marcasano sent them home happy by pitching a rain-shortened 5-0 shutout, notching his career-high 100th strikeout of the season along the way. The Rox wound up with a 42-47 overall record, finishing a distant third place. Powerful New Jersey beat Elmira and Adirondack in the playoffs, then beat the Northern League Central champions, Winnipeg, for the league championship. The final season, the champs of the East and Central would meet for the title. In their first season, the Rox averaged 3,135 fans per night, despite horrible weather and a losing record, finishing second only to Quebec in the attendance race. Brockton did earn best playing field thanks to the great groundskeeping of Tommy Hassett and his assistants Charlie Vella and Andy Salisbury. And despite our often strained working relationship, I felt Rox general manager Dave Eccles should have won Executive of the Year, and when he did not, I voiced my disapproval on the air.
Nicolas Lebay, the general manager of Quebec, named the Executive of the Year. I think Dave Eccles, the general manager of the Brockton Rox, been deserving. I tell you what, nobody puts in more hours. I'm not saying that just to score points, because Dave's out working out in the ballpark and not listening to the broadcast, but I was reading a quote in the press release from the league, quote from the owner of the Quebec Capitals, Miles Wolfe. Nicholas has been tremendous, and his work ethic and dedication are second to none. He probably hasn't seen Dave Eccles in action. That pitch misses outside, 2-0 the count. I mean, this guy puts in more hours than I thought there were hours in a day.
The hard work put in by reliever Connor Brooks paid off. He had his contract purchased by the Cincinnati Reds. Unfortunately for Connor, that didn't work out for him. Fortunately for Brockton, the Rox wanted him back for 2003. Outfielder Chris Cosby, whose many defensive gems could fill a highlight reel, and who finished with a .300 batting average, 20 doubles, and 20 stolen bases to earn Rock's Most Valuable Player honors, latched on with the Milwaukee Brewers. After a brief stint there, Chris would spend a couple seasons in the Philadelphia Phillies organization, making it to Double-A ball. The Rock's Most Valuable Pitcher award went to Joey Baker, who led the team in wins, innings pitched, and whose lighthearted approach to life provided the team with laughs when they were most needed. Joey paid me a visit in the broadcast booth after the final game.
You are a pro at this. Here I was talking into a dead microphone. Joey reaches over and hits the on switch. Duh.
It's usually one way to go about it.
I'm sure you have a lot of good memories about this season, or a lot of memories. I'm assuming some of them are good. What are some of the things that you're going to take home as far as memories from this season, Joey?
I had a great time here in Brockton, city of Brockton, city of champions. It's a fun place to play, great stadium. Can't ask for more from the fans, and I had a great experience here.
By the way, congratulations. You were named the Rox Pitcher of the Year, and deservedly so. You had an outstanding season. Do you think it's something that might catch the attention of an organized team and get you a tryout or get you back into organized ball?
I don't know. Baseball is a very weird game. There's a lot of politics, a lot of, sometimes it's who you know, and, I don't know what to think right now. I just kind of got to take the off season, and try to work as hard as I can and get ready for next year, whether it's to come back here or to go somewhere in spring training. I'll approach it the same way.
Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously the goal for most of these guys is to get back into organized ball or get to organized ball for the first time. But if that doesn't work out, is this still a viable option?
Oh, definitely. This is, Brockton, like I said before, is, a wonderful place to play. And I think next year, everything, first year franchise, it was kind of tough. Stuff wasn't all built. And next year, I think this place is going to be, one of the premier spots in the league. And, I think we're gonna do great, and it's going to be a fun time.
Joey was right on the money. Rox fans were going to have some serious fun in 2003. Like Joey, the Rox invited me back for a second season. I told General Manager Dave Eccles I would accept unless I received an offer from a AA or a AAA team. I did not. But, after having listened to my broadcast for the first time in many, many years while I put together this series, I can tell now that I needed another year at least of experience, and Brockton would be a great place for doing that. I love the ballpark and the fans and the community. I enjoyed working with Ed Noddle, had a great rapport with WBET and the media covering the Rox, and there was a chance that HBO was going to do a reality series where they followed a minor league or independent league baseball club, and the Rox were one of 3 teams that they were considering. That could really open some doors. So I will continue with the 2003 season, which is the fun part of the story, after a brief hiatus. I need some time to go through a huge box of tapes and photos and memorabilia from that season. Very, very time-consuming. I can't thank my viewers enough for all the positive feedback and the kind words. 2 criticisms that I did receive. One was for the lack of my familiar Hawaiian attire. Yeah. So, how's this, huh? I can't believe I still have this stuff. The other criticism I received was there was not enough sensationalism, a staple of modern storytelling. I asked, like what? Pictures from a locker room? And they said, yeah. Okay, if that's what you want, I'll share some locker room pictures for you voyeurs. And on that note, be sure to click the subscribe button to follow my wild and wacky journey with the Brockton Rox, because more episodes will eventually be on the way. Thank you for watching.